Hello, I'm Natalie, and this is my multimedia production project Remediation. So I will go ahead and jump into the first assignment, which was the magazine article. This article was given to us by the instructor. We were supposed to write about what profession we were wanting to go within in the future or once we got out of college. I decided to write mine on wedding planning and the wedding planner profession. For my front page, my title page, I wanted it to look more of a fashion magazine. So I got a lot of inspiration from People magazine and Cosmopolitan, which is what made me add in these mock articles down here at the bottom. I felt that this gave a more developed look into what a magazine would actually look like. So getting to my article, I learned from chapter 8 in section 3 on page 249. There was a diagram given on the comparison of font styles. So it had one specific font with multiple different styles within this. This made me understand the importance in the different style types of titles, subheadings, bylines, and content material. So I felt that I executed that well on this page, as well as we were given by the instructor an article called 19 Typography Skills Every Designer Should Know, written by Sarah L. Loon. This made me understand the appropriate font size, comparing the title font size and the content size, how different they should be to be able to make sure that your article looks appropriate and it's not confusing as to what you need to read first. I felt as if I did really well on the Photoshop in this assignment. I did my 2 Photoshops on the first page, which was first these flowers. It had a really dark background around it, which I was a little bit timid at first to do on a white page just in case I didn't Photoshop it well enough, but I feel it turned out really well. As well as I did a couple here at the bottom. With a wedding planner, there's not really much photographic content that you can get for that profession. So I decided to do more of a wedding vibe, so it correlated in some sort. On the second page, I did a circle photo like the instructor showed us on his lecture, as well as I did a photo down here that faded into the text just to kind of blend out the sources here at the bottom. One thing I feel like that I could have done better on this page was I originally decided to do the text in a navy blue to match the tux here at the bottom on this groom. Looking back on it now, I would probably, if I could go back, change it to a black font. If this were to actually be a magazine article that was going to be printed, I feel as if the blue would not print out very well and it would be a little bit more difficult to read. So moving on to the next assignment that we did would be our podcast assignment. And this was also something that we had to do on the same profession that we wrote our article on. So I wrote mine on wedding planners and wedding planning. I named it the Bride Guide. I felt that that correlated really well. One thing that I learned from the textbook was in chapter 4 or chapter 12 in section 4 on page 375. It talked about a lot of the frequency within speaking into a microphone, which helped me understand the amount of voice you need to project within a microphone, because if you do too much, it'll be too loud and might not sound as well. And if you don't project enough, then it might be hard to hear once it is actually recorded. So one instance that I would have changed within my podcast thing would be a transition that I could have added.
Show the wedding planning industry will be in the next decade as new traditions, technologies, and obstacles surface the spectrum. A wedding planner gives assistance in any arrangement.
So right there at about 32 seconds, I was transitioning from my introduction of the podcast into the content that I was speaking of. I feel as if now listening back, I could have added in a transition, whether that be a sound, a music clip, or just a longer pause. I feel as if my listeners, when listening to this, would have been able to better understand when I was breaking into the content and when I was getting into the information that I was giving. A second part that I would have pointed out and maybe done a little bit better was here at around 5:50,
or if it rains on the day, if it's an outdoor venue, or deciding on what cake flavor to choose, were all things that seemed so big to brides in the past.
Right there, I had repeated myself. I got a little tripped up on my words and just decided to continue to go, knowing that I could go back and edit that out. I had all intentions of doing that, but when editing and listening back, I just didn't catch on to it. That is one thing that I would have used was the razor tool within Audition and been able to make that a little bit more smooth and not as choppy and repetitive. So on to the last assignment, which was our tutorial assignment. So I did my tutorial assignment on tie-dyeing a t-shirt. Before I even begin the video, it'll pop up here. So starting here at first, I should have added a title slide. Looking back and watching it, it would have been beneficial and a better transition into the video if I would have added a title slide instead of jumping right into the tutorial and the supplies needed section. I'm going to play it just a little bit right around here. So through this whole tutorial video, I decided to do a overlook of a camera angle. I learned this in the textbook of Section 4, Chapter 13 in video production. The field of view on page 405 helped me understand how much room you should have around a camera angle, which I feel as if I could have zoomed my camera out a little bit more to show more of the t-shirt since that's what we were working with. I fixed that later on in my video as I start to do my twist.
To start your swirl effect. I have chosen the middle for tutorial purposes.
So I zoomed out a little bit more so you could see it, which I felt helped once I really was getting into what you needed to do. On page 409 in the textbook as well, it talked about camera angle. I decided to do a bird's eye camera view over the shirt. I felt that it made the tutorial video look a little bit more professional. I watch a lot of tutorial videos when it comes to cooking and any type of crafts. So this camera angle is very popular, which is where I got that inspiration from. Another thing that I feel like I could have edited better in this would have been when doing the water, which is here towards the end. I feel like right here, you can tell what I'm doing, and I talk about rinsing the water on the t-shirt for 2 minutes. I never gave a temperature of water, which given when you're running water from a faucet, you can't give an exact temperature, but I could have let them know whether it was warm water or cold water that was needed. I used cold water and I just did not state that, which is one thing that I felt that I could have done better. But overall, this assignment I felt I executed this well. And other than a few minor details that I did not provide, it was better. So overall in this class, I really enjoyed the products that we were having to produce and the projects that were given. One thing that I felt as if the instructor did a really good job in was allowing each student to kind of make their own type of assignment. So when we were given instructions, it was a very baseline guidelines of what to do. But within that, I feel like each student was able to show their personality, do their own style within each assignment. And I felt as if that made me more interested because I could do things my own way and kind of show who I was and my interests and my likes within how I did my assignments. Other than